You know, I thought a spinning laser tower sounded like a good time, but after the 20th death or so, it really loses its appeal. Ghostrunner, 2020's forgotten game. I thought this game looked so cool when I saw the trailer, but it didn't seem to be setting the world on fire. I didn't make a lot of top 10 lists, didn't get that much attention. I always kind of wondered about that. But now that I've actually had a little bit of time to sit down and play through it, I think I can see why that is. The setup is simple. You are a Ghostrunner, a sort of super high-tech cyborg ninja. When you find yourself on the wrong end of a power struggle, you get cast out into the depths and have to pick yourself up, climb your way back up, and get revenge on the people who cast you out. There really isn't so much in the way of story in this game. There are a handful of collectibles out in the world and items with notes on them that can give you some clue as to what's going on, but most of the story takes place from a couple of voices talking to you through the intercom in your head. One of them is the Architect, the stodgy authoritarian who gets ousted in the game's beginning and wants you to restore order to the city after his fall. The other is a young freedom fighter named Zoe, who lives in Dharma City and wants to see it turn into something better. It's a pretty standard cyberpunk premise of scrappy underdogs fighting evil authority, but that's alright, I think. This isn't really a story type of game anyway. This is an action game first and foremost, and Ghostrunner never lets the story get in the way of that. After a brief cinematic and a short introduction, the game just throws you right into the meat of the game, which is the combat. Combat is definitely the central aspect of this game. You'll dash, slash, jump, wall run, grapple, focus, and kill anything you come across. Everything in this game dies in a single hit, including you. This keeps things fast-paced and always keeps you on your toes, because a single mistake can mean the end. But this actually wound up being kind of an issue, and maybe the thing I disliked about this game the most. But I'll come back to that in a little bit. The other side of the game is movement, or the runner part of Ghostrunner. You'll parkour your way through most of the world by wall running, grappling, dashing, and circumventing obstacles. There's a minimal amount of exploration to be done, but mostly you'll just try to find your way from point A to point B and get your way to the next combat section. You'll have to do just as much movement in combat, trying to find good angles of approach to dodge shots, get close to enemies and kill them. Movement and combat in this game go together like peanut butter and jelly. At its best, Ghostrunner is a seamless ballet of movement and combat. And at its worst, well, is when it isn't. Remember what I said a minute ago about everything killing you in one hit? Yeah, as it turns out, that gets old after a while. At first it seemed exciting, a way to really keep you on your toes as you go through the game, but it's just too easy to die by accident. Because you're moving so much, and because everything takes place in the first person, it's really hard to stay aware of your surroundings in the middle of combat, and it's far too easy for one stray shot to end you right at the end of a section. Worse than that, every single time that you die, you have to do the whole area over again. Even if you catch a shot right on the very last guy, that's it. You go back to square one and have to try it all over. This wasn't so bad in the beginning, but as you get farther into the game and the difficulty ramps up a bit and areas get a little larger with more enemies, this just becomes a chore. Eventually, I wasn't excited to take on a new challenge and it didn't feel satisfying to beat an area. I was just kind of glad that it was over with after dying to random things over and over again. Worst of all is that it breaks up the flow though. This game feels amazing when you can run around and kill things, but every single death resets that flow and kills what I think is the game's biggest strength. I really think they should have gone with some kind of health system here, something a little more forgiving in that regard. I think it would have made it flow so much better. Every once in a while the game will pull you into Cyber Void, and these side areas are just basic platforming and puzzle solving. And you have no idea why these sections are in the game, they just kind of pull you out of it, literally and figuratively. I know that's a lot of negativity, but I gotta say, in spite of all of that, I still think it's a good game. It's just not a great game. I found it frustrating, but I can still see a lot of the good that this game has. But like I said at the very beginning, now that I've played it, I can see why it didn't make the best of the best. I can see why it was overlooked just a bit. It's still something you might want to pick up on sale. It's relatively short, so you can keep an eye out for it and maybe pick it up on a whim one day, but not exactly the kind of thing I'd rush out to buy, and not the one I'd enthusiastically recommend, and that's just kind of a shame. It's a game that's 90% of the way to a great game, but just doesn't quite land there because of just a few big issues. Oh well. If you had your own issues playing Ghostrunner, or if you liked it or have some things you want to comment on, let me know in the comments below. I've got other games to play now, so I'm gonna go do that. Take care.